Hi, I'm Jaemin Frazer from Frazer Holmes Coaching, and I'm going to take some time to really help you understand the importance of creativity in business. Such an important area and often underutilized, but in today's fast-paced world, such a crucial element of business success is about our capacity to innovate, problem solve, and think outside the square. So I'm going to give you some real keys and unpack it in as much detail as I can in half an hour, and then at the end give you some more ways that you can access other tools and other ways that we can help you build creativity in business. I love this idea of creativity. I think of myself as a coach, as an artist. I might never write a best-selling song or do an amazing painting, but I use people's lives. They're my canvases, and I love the idea of creating beautiful things in people, and I love the idea of creating beautiful ideas, putting words together to form beautiful thoughts. Creativity is such an amazing thing, and the power of artistry to capture and to influence, to capture hearts, minds, imaginations, and to influence is extraordinary. You think of the ability of an image or a movie or a sound or an idea just to really leave a lasting impact, and it's extraordinary. And I love business in its ability to create impact through creativity, new innovative ideas which change the way we live, which change the way we connect, which change the way we relate, the way we enjoy our lives. So let's begin. Let's have a look at how we can really build our capacity to be creative as individuals, as business owners, and as part of business teams. So let's start with the importance. Stating the obvious, I would imagine, for most of you, but let's look through this nonetheless. The first reason why creativity is so important is because success is never a straight line. I think often we imagine that when we have a plan or a goal around our businesses, we've got this fantastic business idea, we set up a plan, we can see a goal, and we imagine we're just going to walk in a straight line toward that. But that's actually never how it unfolds. No plan survives its clash with reality. I'm not sure who said that, and I'm sorry for taking that quote without giving due credit, but it's such a cool idea. And this idea that we're constantly bombarded with new challenges, things outside of our control that cause us to have to find creative solutions. One of my favorite metaphors around success is the idea of course correction. When a space shuttle rockets off the Earth towards the International Space Station, for instance, that's one of the most complicated and technologically advanced machines on the planet. Yet in its trajectory to get to the space station, it's actually only on track 3% of the time. The other 97% of the time, it's noticing where it's off track and making necessary adjustments to get back on course. It's so fantastic. So I think that's our life, that's our businesses. Imagine if this year you're only on track 3% of the year. 10 days at most where you're perfectly on track. The rest of the time, you're having to come up with creative problem-solving solutions to become aware of where you're not on track and make necessary adjustments and changes, and be incredibly flexible with your behavior to adapt to what's happening around you so that you can still get back on track and aim at the goal. There is no failure, only feedback. So everything we try, it's impossible to fail. It's just learning opportunity. It's just a chance for growth and change. I don't have to tell you that the world is constantly changing and evolving at an exponential rate. Change is inevitable. It's kind of like grow or die. So to set yourself in a static place with a certain product or a certain service and not adjust that, it's a surefire recipe for being left behind. It's so important to have the ability to innovate, to grow, to adapt, and be creative about how to find solutions. Think about this, right? Everything we enjoy in today's world was at some point impossible, was at some point outside of our reach, at some point didn't even exist. Yet some creative person saw it in their mind and brought it into existence. Extraordinary. And you and I are the same. We are creating things that currently do not exist, that will exist into the future. Now, that's the power of creativity. That's the importance of it. It's so beautiful. So creativity is far too important to be left to the creative people. We all need to exercise creativity, especially as business owners. So let's look firstly, now we've understood the importance of creativity, let's look firstly at removing the blockages. Because I think every person I've spoken to about creativity, and especially in a coaching sense, has some level of blockages holding them back from their potential to be outstanding in their creativity. So here are some of the key blockages. Bad experiences. So maybe even from a young age, where as kids we're often much more likely to innovate and be creative, and there's no rules, and that's just part of what it means to be a kid. But sometimes that gets shut down in us through bad experiences. Sometimes we, through trying something new, when it meets with our world, we don't get the feedback we're looking for. And sometimes we tell ourselves, well, I'll never do that again. And we shut it down. I know so many people have had bad experiences in artistry, in singing, in painting, in drawing, in writing, in speaking, in creating ideas, and it didn't go well. They didn't receive great feedback, and so they just were embarrassed or ashamed and decided, for the sake of protecting themselves from future embarrassment, that they would just not exercise that at all. So that forms one of the major blockages. Limiting beliefs, which is not far from that, but often the things that we believe about ourselves are negative and unresourceful and limiting. They hold us back. So often people have beliefs that they are not a creative person, or they can't create, or they don't have that inside them, or that if they were to create something, no one would like it. So therefore that hinders them moving forward into creativity. The story we live out of. It always fascinates me what separates successful people from those who don't succeed. And I think one of the key indicators is the story we live out of, the story we tell ourselves. And people who succeed in life just do so because they tell themselves far better stories. But it's all just a story. We think we see what's real, but it's just our interpretation of what's real. It's just a story. So I'm wondering what kind of story you're telling yourself about your ability to create. And I'm encouraging you to change that story, actually, to an empowering story, if it's not already empowering. Sometimes the words others have spoken about us form the programs we run and become part of the blockages. So maybe someone said of you or me or us, you're not creative. You should stick to what you do well. So from a coaching perspective, removing blockages, here's a few key ideas for dealing with those kind of things. So I love it when a person says to me, I'm just not creative. That's one of my favorite things a person could say. Because one of the great aspects of coaching is to look at the same situation through a different lens. So the situation doesn't change, but a person's experience of that situation changes. So therefore, then they experience that situation differently, which therefore changes it. So a person might say, I'm not creative, and the reframe is, well, hang on a minute. Who do you think's creating your reality right now? If it's not you, well, then who is it? We're all creating our reality right this moment by the story we're telling ourselves, by the beliefs we have, by the language we use, by the state that we're in, by the responses we choose, by the meaning we place on things. We create what we experience. So we're incredibly creative. It's the image of the divine in us, this ability to create. We create new conversations, new ideas, new relationships, new people. We're creators. We're creating our world all the time. So of course we're creative. That's absurd to think we're not creative. Another great way of thinking about removing blockages is this idea that there is no such thing as unresourceful people, just an unresourceful state. So as we just explored, we are all creative. We are all creating right now. So it's inside of us. We have it. We have all that we need. Often we're just not using it. So this idea that there's no such thing as an unresourceful person, just an unresourceful state, kind of says that there's nothing wrong with us as people. We have all that we need, but often we find ourselves in a very small space where we don't have access to our inner resourcefulness. That doesn't mean as people we're not resourceful. So the coaching process helps a person discover what is really inside them and then actually go utilize it. So moving on and 5 key ideas in terms of really growing creativity in our life. And the first is the be, do, have model. I'm sure some of you will have come across this model before, but it's one of my favorites. It's just such a cool idea about success that can be applied directly to this aspect of increasing creativity. So there are 3 types of people in life. There are the victims. The victims, which are the have, do, be. This is how they organize their lives. They say, when I have enough time, and I have enough money, and I have enough support, then I'll do the things that I know I should do and I know I need to do, and then I'll be happy and successful. But the problem is I don't have enough time, and I certainly don't have enough money, and no one supports me. If I was like that person over there who has all those things, then of course I would do these things. But the problem is I don't have, and I'm waiting until I do have before I can start. So they remain in that space because they never get what they need. Then there's the workers who organise their energy by, head down, bum up. They are the doers. They believe that the more that they do, the more that they have, and the happier that they will be. The problem with that is the more they do, the more they find there is to do. And the more they have, the more they realise there still is to have. And so they build this cycle of endless busyness, and their significance is tied to their achievement and what they do. They define themselves by their productivity. They become workaholics, and then they find the more they get, the more there is to lose. And it never leads to happiness and success. It forms this endless cycle. So they don't end up successful. So the winners, on the other hand, it's quite counterintuitive because they don't wait until they've got enough time and money and support. They do not wait for perfect conditions. Winners actually make decisions where they got no support, where they have 0 time, and they don't have any money. It's amazing how many business people and how many people who are successful in life have done so without any time and any money. It's not like this vacuum of, they've got this abundance of time with this wealth of money and so many support people cheering them on. It's in adverse conditions. So they're not victims waiting till they have, and they're not workers. They don't actually get there just by hard work, because they realize hard work alone does not lead to success. The way that the winners organize themselves is be, do, have. So their question is, who would I need to be? They're clear about what they want, but their question is not what I would need to do, but who would I need to be to have access to that? And being that kind of person, what would I be doing? And then doing that kind of stuff, what would I have? So in terms of creativity, go be a creative person. You might think, well, I'm not a very creative person. Great, well, go be a creative person. And the best way I can explain this is like a professional actor or actress when they get given a script for a new movie and they've got a particular person that they need to play. They don't actually go and try and play that role. They just go and be that person. They embody that character. So this is the be, do, have. Go embody the characteristics of a creative person. Go talk like a creative person. Go think like a creative person. Go spend money like a creative person would, on the things a creative person would spend money. Go look at yourself like a creative person. Go be a creative person. And then being a creative person, do what a creative person would do, and then you'll have what a creative person would have. It's very cool. So another way of really building this be-do have is through affirmations and talking to yourself like this is who you already are. And a great analogy that Shad Hemstetter says is it's like we've got, we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind, and it's like that they are the captain of the ship and the engine room worker. The conscious mind is the one giving the orders, and the subconscious mind is the one following the orders. So we give orders through our talk, and often through our talk to ourselves. So often the orders we give, though, are negative and unresourceful. So a person might say, you know what, I'm just not a creative person. So that's like the captain of the ship giving an order to the engine room worker, and the engine room worker goes, the order is I'm not a creative person. Great, I'll go work out how to not be a creative person. I'll go work out how to just stay where it's safe and known and comfortable, and just play by the rules and draw within the lines. Or someone might say, I'm just not that good with money. I'm not that good at business. Or I'm not great at relationships. Or I never really end up on top. Or, money is hard to come by. Whatever the program is that the conscious mind, the captain of the ship sets, that's the program we end up running subconsciously. So part of the role of affirmation is to create better programs. It's to start talking to yourself like you are the person you want to be. And then it's amazing because the subconscious mind goes and works out how to do that. And the subconscious mind is very good at following that instruction and living out that order. So run great creativity programs for yourself. Talk to yourself like you're an artist, like you're an innovator, like you have infinite amounts of creativity oozing through you, that you are a great problem solver, that in the face of a crisis you come up with excellent ideas. Start talking to yourself like that. Start writing to yourself like that. I do this thing when I'm in the car sometimes. I'll record a message to myself on the phone. I'll go, "G'day, Jaemin. It's Jaemin here. I'm not sure if you know this, but I just really wanted to tell you that, holy smokes, you are doing a good job at the moment. You are such a great business person. You've got such a sharp mind, and you're so clear and focused about what you want. And wow, some of the creativity that comes out of you, when you're in your best space, the ideas, the dreams, the vision that you have, it is so innovative, it is so creative, it is so life-changing, it is such valuable stuff. So I just wanted you to have a great day today and know that you're a really fantastic person. I'll talk to you later. Bye." And then I'll record that, save it, and then a couple of hours later I'll just play that back to myself. That works well for me because it's all creating great programs for myself to live out of. And it ends up causing me to see myself as creative. I said before that successful people do so on the back of the stories they tell themselves, but also what happens when they look in the mirror. What happens when they see themselves? Who do they see? What value do they see? What future do they see? What qualities do they see? Often we're good at seeing what's not there and what we're not good at, but this whole idea of be, do, have and creating great affirmations and programs helps us see what is there and what we are good at. I love developing creativity rituals, which I'll talk more about in a moment. So the second idea for how we can continue to really build creativity and innovation in our lives is this idea of energy management rather than time management. I really believe that energy is a far more a far more useful resource than time ever is. And I'll explain by saying, I'm sure there are times where you've had 2 days to do a task, but you're in a flat state. You're not really motivated. You're discouraged. You're negative. That 2 days is kind of useless to you because you'll fluff around, you'll procrastinate, you'll obfuscate, you'll dance around what needs to be done and not bring your best to the game. Likewise, I'm sure there's been times where you've had half an hour and a really important task to do, but you're in a great state and you bring your best. And what you can do in that half an hour is extraordinary. The problems you can solve, the ideas you can come up with, the solutions you can provide, extraordinary. So time's kind of irrelevant. Energy is the thing that drives results. And energy is the thing we need to focus on managing rather than time. And if you manage your energy, well, then time becomes your servant. Rather than you being a slave to time, time becomes something that you can manipulate and you can use. One of the stories I tell myself is, do you know what, really, I only need 15 minutes of magic to change the game. So I really need one idea, one moment of clarity, one creative solution to a problem is going to change the game. 15 minutes is all it'll take. So one of the things that I find really important for myself is managing my energy, not my time. So in my day, I'll have periods of high energy and low energy. I've got this ritual of developing a rhythm of rest in my life, so that I'll have a sleep after lunch most days. I'll exercise in the morning. I'll have coffee at different times with friends. I'll sit quietly in the park at other times. And then I'll have moments of just high level energy, focus, clarity, where I'm on. Sometimes I'll call it an hour of power. I'll set a clock or an alarm. And I'll just go, you are on for an hour. Give it everything you've got. And when that buzzer goes off, it's time to go have a break. It's time to go down to the park. It's time to go for a run, or it's time to go hang out with a friend, or it's time to go to the movies, or it's time for something that's a total shift in energy. I find that works really well for me, and it totally helps me to be in a very creative space when I need to, rather than just slogging through work at this kind of mediocre level of energy. I get real high energy and real low energy. So in order to manage energy, one of the keys to do that is discover rituals that give life and avoid things that take life away. So there's an idea that state is king, which is one of my favorite ideas in terms of success. I don't have time to really unpack that now, but it's basically this idea that if I can control my state, I can control my outcomes. Because when I'm in a great state, the game changes. I have access to creativity, to insight, to wisdom, to intuition. There's magic in my fingers, and I can do extraordinary things. When I'm in a poor state, I have access to discouragement, procrastination, frustration, annoyance, and the outcomes I get flow directly from that. So rituals are the things that control my state. Rituals that give life produce an incredible state. So again, I'd love to go more into this, but I just wanted to flag that idea for you, and if that's something of interest, you can ask me more about that later. Third idea is the structure of creativity. So these guys have come up with a great paradigm for business creativity, and have said some really important things about how we structure creativity. And the first is we need to doubt everything. So challenge your current perspectives. I love thinking about doubt as a gift. The gift of doubt is a really important thing, a really crucial thing. Often we're so certain that our reality is the only way. But whatever we believe, we'll find evidence for. And we all have different beliefs, so we're all seeing different things. So our way of seeing things is not the only way of seeing things. So a healthy amount of doubt is really beautiful. It's a great gift. So don't hold things too tightly. There's always another way. So doubt everything. The second, probe the possible. So often we bring very limited options to the table, but our brain is the most complicated machine on the planet. Like I said before, there's no such thing as an unresourceful person, just an unresourceful state. We are creative, intelligent, wonderful beings. There's always options. There's unlimited options. So to take a step back and say, what else, and just to explore the limitless, abundant possibility and option around us at every moment is a really important thing that Alan and Luke have said as part of the structure of creativity. Third, diverge. So generate many new and exciting ideas, even if they seem absurd. Walt Disney has a creativity strategy. They used to have different rooms that were anchored to different levels of creativity. So they would have a dream room, which was all about this very idea. It was like to go into this space and come up with as many ideas as possible. And there are no rules. There are no bad ideas. So that the team would go into this room. It would be a colorful, bright room, and they would go nuts. They would ask what else. They would come up with ideas. They would brainstorm, and they would fill the page with creative ideas. Then they would step out of that space and move to a different room where they would actually evaluate all these ideas and weigh them up and work through, are they realistic, are they workable, are they affordable, and come up with key ideas that they believe are actually going to drive breakthrough results. And then finally, this process of reevaluating relentlessly. I love this from Alan and Luke. No idea is good forever. Don't get too attached to your ideas. Don't get too attached to your stories. We talked about before about in the importance of creativity. We live in a world where change is inevitable and fast-paced and relentless at an exponential rate. So ideas that are great today may not be ideas that are great tomorrow. So this ability to not tie ourselves to an idea, to not tie our identity and value to an idea, to be okay to let things go and come up with new ideas to move forward. The fourth idea is neuroplasticity. That's a complicated word and far too complicated for Homer here. But the idea is basically that the brain has a remarkable ability to change itself, to adapt, to create new neural pathways. There's just so much extraordinary research about what the brain is capable of doing. So often, in the past, it was thought that if there was some kind of dysfunction in your brain, well, that was how it was going to be. So if there's a piece missing or something not working, well, that's how you would be for the rest of your life. And then there were all these anomalies coming up where a person would have part of their brain not active, yet this other part would have rerouted around the dysfunctional part and created a whole new neural pathway and found a way to solve that problem, to come up with a new idea. The brain adapts and changes and grows. It is not static. It is ever-changing, and it is plastic. So it turns out that you can teach an old dog new tricks. That's one of the stories that a lot of people live out of. Oh, it's too late for me. I'm stuck in my ways. This is how I've always done it, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, it turns out that you can. Our brain can change. You can grow your ability to be creative. So in terms of increasing creativity on the back of all the things that we've explored, here are some of the really practical outworkings of that, some of the great rituals, some of the great exercises that you can do to build your ability to be creative when it matters most. You're already creating a reality, so creativity is already inside you. Here's a way of harnessing it and growing it. So divergent thinking. So I'll give you an example of that in a moment and an exercise to do. The what if exercise, I'll give you an example of that as well, but it's another example of thinking outside the box. Morning pages, that's a ritual that I do each morning, a creative writing piece. So I will, I've got a journal and I've got a pen. I've got this magic book and pen actually, and I only use it for creativity. I only use it for my best ideas and my morning pages, my morning ritual. And it's basically an idea around creative writing without my critical filter. So often when we write, it's like, oh, you can't say that, or that doesn't make sense, or that's not spelled correctly, or that's not okay, that's not allowed. You can't say that. These morning pages is just like, right, when the pen touches the page, I'm not allowed to stop until I've filled 3 pages, even if I'm writing the same word over and over again or the same sentence over and over again. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I get stuck for an idea, so I'll just write the same word. And I think, well, if I'm writing this word over and over again, I could pick a different word to write, and then I'm away again. Or if I'm writing this sentence over and over again, I could probably pick a better sentence, and I'm away. So anchoring a certain space, a certain time of the day, a certain book to creativity is a great ritual. Do something new each day. Walk a different way to work, drive a different way to work, experiencing something new. Go to the supermarket and pick an item off the shelf you've never bought before. Create something. Have a go at just sitting down and coming up with an idea or a product that you've never come up with before. And rituals that I've talked about. There are great apps for phone, iPad, computer, which help you specifically grow your creativity. Free and paid apps. So here are some exercises just to wrap this up. And I know we're nearly done for time, so I'll just fly through some of these. And then, as I said, I'll give you some more resources at the end. So here's the first one. I want you to connect this red balloon with your current business. So that red balloon with your business's product and services. So think about the main features of this balloon. Jot them all down. And here's how this example works. So, for example, it's bright, kids love them, it rises by itself, it's fun, you can pop it, it won't start forever, you need to tie it down or hang on to it, etc. You could probably come up with a whole bunch of other features about this balloon. Now the exercise, in what way is what you offer like that balloon? So for each of you, the answers will be different, but have a go at doing that exercise. Pause the video or let it run and then come back to this exercise. But here's an example of how you can actually build creativity. Second one, what if? I mentioned this before. So what if this bus was 2 times faster? What would the consequences be? How would it look? What has to be improved for it to reach double speed? Third exercise is divergent thinking. So this blank piece of A4 paper here in the picture, what are 30 ways to use this sheet of paper? I had an example of this the other day. One of my divergent thinking exercises, I got given $10 petrol money from some kid that I gave a lift somewhere, and I wasn't expecting it. So I had had $10 in my pocket, and I thought, okay, what are 30 uses for this $10 I've got right now? And the first 15 ideas I came up with pretty ordinary, but then I started to come up with all kinds of great ideas for it. And I started to ask better questions like, what could I do with this $10 that would double it or triple it or multiply it? How could I make this $10 work for me? And then that opened up a whole new field of ideas. So that's the divergent thinking exercise. New words. I love the power of our language to frame our reality. And the great idea with language is if you change the word you use, you change the experience you have. If you say, I hate going to school or I hate going to work, well, that word hate creates a very strong emotional experience. It's the strongest word you got, so it produces the strongest emotion you've got. But if you weren't allowed to use that word hate, you had to pick a different word, guess what? You'd have a different experience. So just changing the language we use changes what we experience. So I love learning new words because if I can learn a new word, I can have a new experience. So I've got a website that I look at every day, which is the word for the day. And it just builds my vocabulary. So here are some of the cool words that I've learnt recently, which I think which gives me new experiences. So a Svengali is a person who manipulates or exerts excessive control over another. Heuristic. To be argumentative or logically invalid. An aesthete, I love this one. One who cultivates great subjectivity to beauty and great sensitivity to beauty. Inexorable, unyielding and relentless. What are you inexorable about? Ostensible, appearing to be true but not necessarily. Fecund, what a great word, rolls off the tongue. Fruitful, prolific, intellectually productive or inventive. Sorry, that's supposed to say or. So some great exercises to get you started in really building creativity. So how can we help you? I mentioned before, as a coaching company, we are helping people develop their greatest asset, which is themselves. helping people really grow and flourish and get the most out of their own ability. So here are some of the things we're offering at the moment. Thought leadership and inspiration. We put out blogs, podcasts, thought of the week videos, all kinds of interesting articles on our Facebook page, on our website. You can subscribe to some stuff and get all kinds of cool thought leadership in your inbox each week. Obviously, we offer some personal coaching. We've got an online monthly coaching program focusing on peak performance. Do team development, helping really cultivate creativity and innovation within the team, not just for individuals. So a whole bunch of things that you can access right now if you just have a look at our website, frazerholmes.com. And fantastic. So hope that's been really useful for you. And please let me know if there's any other ways that I can help you grow your ability to be creative and really stay ahead of the game and cause your business to flourish.